Namaste. Thank you for joining. Breathing in and out, I'm aware of my past misunderstandings and actions. Breathing in, I am aware of my past and me now. Breathing out, I take care of the qualities with mindfulness and wisdom. Breathing in, I am aware of my past and me now. Breathing out, I take care of the qualities with mindfulness and wisdom. Breathing in the past and present of the other person. Breathing out the wounds of the other person. I say, I'm sorry. Breathing in the past and present of the other person. And breathing out the wounds, saying, I am sorry. I breathe in, determining not to do or say it again. I breathe out, seeing that the 5 mindfulness trainings are a protection for me and the other being. At the end of this video, after this meditation, we will go over the 5 mindfulness trainings. Breathing in, breathing out, I determine to practice them deeply, knowing and transforming the present. So breathing in, I see the 5 mindfulness trainings are a protection for me and the other beings. Breathing out, I determine to practice them deeply, knowing transforming the present, I transform the past. I breathe in. Determined to be mindful and understanding now, I breathe out. Breathing in, I transform, knowing I transform the present, I transform the past. Breathing out, determined to be mindful and understanding. Breathing in, I smile to the present. Breathing out, I take care of the present. In, smile. Out, take care. Transforming the past by positive actions and positive speech in the present, I breathe in. Seeing my present actions and speaking influencing the future in a positive way, I breathe out. Transforming the past by positive actions and speech in the present, I breathe in. Seeing my present actions and speaking influencing the future, I breathe out. I hope you like that meditation. And now to go over the 5 mindfulness trainings. The 5 mindfulness trainings have their root in the 5 precepts offered by the Buddha. They have been expanded and updated so that they represent a way to bring mindfulness into every area of life. Rather than hard and fast rules, they offer as a framework to reflect on our actions, speech, and thinking so we can create more happiness for ourselves and for the world around us. Their nature is universal. They are true practices of compassion and understanding. The first training is to protect life, to decrease violence in oneself, in the family, and in society. The second training is to practice social justice, generosity, not stealing and not exploiting other living beings. The third, practice of responsible sexual behavior. The fourth, practice of deep listening and loving speech. The fifth, about mindful consumption. Reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life, seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking. I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. True happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I will stop running. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and I can live happily in the present moment by simply remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and stop contributing to climate change. True love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, respecting them, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others, I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep, long-term commitment. Made known to my family and friends, I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my energy, sexual energy, cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the 4 basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the happiness of others. Practicing this true love, we know we will continue beautifully into the future. Loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself among other people, ethnic and religious groups and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, hope, relieving suffering, showing that I understand. When anger is manifesting in me, I will determine not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking, and recognize and look deeply. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. Nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society. By practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming, I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutrients, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volitions, will, to do certain acts, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or use alcohol or other products which can contain toxins, or websites and electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrows draw me back, but into the past, nor letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment, but transforming. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate, interbeing, and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well being in my body, consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. Namaste.